thanks to Madhuji and Malhotra for organizing this thing with a little amount of courage, because when I saw this rational government policy, rational and government in the same sentence always amuses me. Anyhow, people in Delhi are more courageous maybe, or illusion is more for them, whatever way. Madhuji told that you take 20 minutes, and she is also a professor. We measure time by 90 minutes, so that's very important. One class, but when she said 20 minutes, I agreed. Because you never cross word with Madhuji, you should know that first. So many people have tried, and I know her for nearly a decade perhaps. So many people have tried. She will chew you into pieces and throw you out. So best thing is to tell us to her, right? Okay, we will very quickly look at the what is called the NGO situation. This NGO itself is a funny name because most of them are getting funded by government. So they are not, they are only O. There is no NG, but as the tradition says, everybody wants to be known as NGO. Of course, technically the largest NGO in the country, two major activities are conducted as part of the Societies Registration Act. One is cricket, one is Bollywood. Two huge activities are actually the NGOs, according to them. BCCI is under the Societies Registration Act. They are not under any corporate or anything. They are doing their thing. They were doing at least peacefully till the Supreme Court decided that they would like to get involved in that. Okay. Now let's very quickly look at the picture. See, what happened is these were not so major issue, but they are called by different people, claim different names. Some people say voluntary organization, voluntary agencies. Some add development also because that gives them a more importance. Some say non-government developmental, and some feel non-profit institution because they feel profit institutions are obscene, dirty. So we would like to proclaim ourselves to be non-profit. And in Indian languages there are plenty of equivalent available for this actually. The past is very quickly capturing. What has happened is, lot of these activities were sort of not centralized, or what happened is somewhere in 2006, UNDP office in New Delhi decided, along with a lot of government bureaucrats, because of the system of national accounts of India. So all these, some of the government fellows also with the Julawalas and what we call, all of them combined together, they decided with the John Hopkins University in US to have a consolidated system of dealing with NGOs. This is 2006. So what happened is, after that, the national policy on the voluntary sector was adopted, May 2007. And I have a feeling, I was told by people, that it was under the guidance of the then NAC. NAC itself is an NGO. That is another interesting thing. We will come to that, even though it is part of the government. It is to encourage, enable and empower independent, creative and effective voluntary sector. Which one? This national policy, which is supported by the government. Government is going to encourage, empower and independent. This whole thing looks contradictory to me anyhow. This was done in the constitute the beginning of the process to evolve a new working relation. So around 2007, this whole NGO became embedded into the government of India under the blessings of the NAC. This is the first and most important thing to recognize. Till then, NGOs were sort of here and there appendix. We can say by the time UPA 2, the voluntary or NGO sector fully got ensconced into the decision making and fund collecting activities. This is the, the initial type of if I may use the word original sin. What are the important criteria? They are supposed to be independent from government. Most of them are not. Some of them are independent from Indian government, not foreign governments. They get funds from Denmark, Netherlands and various things which are either related to the church, which itself is funded by government. most important, northern European countries, many of the churches actually coming out of the taxes of the people. Everybody is taxed certain percentage and then that goes into the church. And activities, their activities are phenomenal actually in India. Aging issues, there is one in Bangalore which is focusing on ants, ants. Because they say there are 2,700 varieties of ants in Bangalore itself, in different places. It's a very active young people NGO. They are also trying to get some funds from abroad. How to, catalog them, protect them, preserve them. So that is one. Zebra also there is one. A to Z it is covered. So, and large number of them, we will see that they are church-related organization. And of course, human rights is another major area of concern for them. And how to be an NGO. See, there is a non-profit organization created for larger public good that comes under largest thing is Societies Registration Act. Then we have Indian Trust Act, Public Trust Act and Indian Companies Act. Now it is 2013, not 1956. Then we have Religious Endowment Act, Charitable and Religious Trust Act. Then of course Mussalman Waqf Act and Waqf Act 1954 and Public Waqf Act 1959. So many ways in which you can come on the stage as a NGO. Now, bigger picture, 2009, 33 lakhs reported as NGOs. Societies registered. This is the Central Statistical Organization. Then they asked, some of you may be aware of the case going on in the Supreme Court, and then CBI was asked to file a report. State Directorate of Economic and Statistics, this is at the state level, and unfortunately they are not adequately equipped. Anyhow, they got information on 22 lakh units. That means on an average, we have 535, an NGO for 535 Indians. But the Home Ministry records tells me there is one police for 940 Indians. So there is more NGOs per capita in India. We are one of the largest NGO'd country in the world, if you want to be, because we are very proud of it. Second largest populated, first largest animal populated. This is first largest NGO populated. Everyone is an NGO, but there is a scope for improvement because one doesn't want to reduce it. A student of mine, if he gets even 5 out of 100, I always say there is a scope for improvement, right? Because otherwise you may take me to human rights and other things. It's a big problem nowadays. Nobody you can say you are not doing well or anything. But could they trace them? Lots of them could not be traced. Out of 22 lakh, only 6.95 lakh could be full-fledgedly traced by the CSO with all its effort. And there is a study by John Hopkins and Priya, which we earlier quoted. They told 50% of the voluntary were not registered under any law. That is another thing. That means there is another huge segment of these groups. And these figures did not include non-profit, charitable and religious trust act. Kindly note, earlier we saw, those are not included at all in this. There are also non-profit companies under the Indian Companies Act. They also don't come. So there are a huge number of mass-based groups usually operating at block and village level. Many political parties also has got their own grouping. And some of you may be aware, RSS is the largest NGO in the world, actually. Single largest NGO in the world is RSS, and which is not covered by any of these act or any of these things. So we should keep that also in there. So if you take this 50%, we have something like for every 300 people, one NGO. And I don't know whether we should increase NGOs or COPs, any which way. And 10% of the 22 lakh file any returns. Very nice this is. Non-governmental, this is Supreme Court said that, So only 50 of the 5684 NGOs in UT. In Union Territories, there are 5,700 NGOs. Only 50 of them say that they are existing in terms of their reports. The most fascinating part is Tamil Nadu and Telangana refused to give any information. And we came to know through the bureaucrat it is due to the pressure of the church. And so they told we won't give any information, and as usual, Supreme Court was very upset, angry, and whatever it is, right? And they told, no, you must give some information. So that is where the matter stands. So number of NGOs filing return is relatively much smaller. This is aggregate NGOs we are talking about, not in terms of, and within that, Maharajas are there. They are this FCRA covered. There are NGOs and NGOs, and then we will come to Chakravartis, that is separate. These Maharajas are the ones about which a lot of focus is now given. 43,000. This is something fascinating. This FCRA, 2011 told only they gave data for in the year 2015. They are extraordinarily timely in terms of providing information. For 43,000 and 22,000 reported 11,500 crores. Roughly on an average 40 to 50% only file returns. That is the most important thing among the FCRA. And then periodically government says we must initiate action and other thing. The standard is Delhi and Tamil Nadu. These are the two states which receive the maximum. And kindly do not confuse receipt to the usage. What is received in Tamil Nadu can be used in Jharkhand also. There is no bar in terms of flow of fund. Highest receipt is Chennai. Chennai get 890 crores. Now one district called Pathanamthitta is coming up. 350 crores it got, where the Sabarimala is located in Kerala. So that is also now competing. One particular district. And Mumbai is there. So let's not, highest receipt association, mostly it is either World Vision or Believer Church India, Pathanamthitta, in the last couple of years. There is a competition between the two, and one of them will, and so Believer Church feels. And now, of course, this Latter-day Saints, what are called the Mormon, they are the largest. We will see that they are also acquiring huge amount of land. This fact is not adequately, brought out or something. FCRA doesn't prevent you from acquiring land. So they are becoming a huge landholders also in the donor countries are US, UK. We will see also some patterns emerging. Certain states are preferred by certain country donors. Not that everywhere it's a sort of arrangement in terms of you take care of South, I take care of East. That type of a thing is there. Foreign donors, major or compassionate international. All of them are in some way or other related to different churches. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day, that's otherwise popularly known as Mormons. They are one of the largest in the last, say, 5-6 years. And there is a, often on they answer in Parliament, but it's very difficult to keep track. In 2013-14, they told TN NGOs received the maximum funding. But this is not yet in the MHA website or something. This is the answer given by the government about. And another interesting thing is the maximum in many of the cases is spent on what are called the administrative expenses. Typically, a definition of an NGO, when I was in school, I was told you must spend on the activity for which you get money. But now what is happening is getting the jeep, getting the fancy cameras, administration buildings, land. So what we call in the financial jargon, the fixed asset formation is becoming more important. Then in terms of, so some of my students are very bright and clever, MBA student. They are much ahead of the curve. Some of them have joined 10 years before. One of the boys have collected so many miles because he attends conferences in Amsterdam, New York, Frankfurt, everywhere about poverty, tribals in India and other thing. He jumps into the plane and goes there, and he has got a set of slides, The fourth fellow in the queue in the Tirupati Darshan, that beggar, that slide he has got. And on child weeping in Bihar, he has got. These are, he says, these are all standard slides I use. Anywhere, right? So it is about, and then he is a global flyer. He has got mileage, he can go to 2 times Mars and come back. He's a very, very brilliant fellow. And nowadays, incidentally, I should share it with you, NGOs recruit from IIMs. Direct recruitment, executive position. It's not anymore, the old style, you have one, dirty dhoti and go around, helping poor people, nothing like that. Now it's all suited, booted, and, not cattle class travel. He says, I never travel cattle class. Business class, star. Of course, those 6 slides are very critical. The fourth beggar only I told why, because he is very standard. Everywhere in National Geography, everybody has photographed the 4th fellow. Where is the fourth fellow, they ask actually, when they go to that Tirupati, beggars queue. So that's a very fascinating thing you should know about. My boys are bright, I can assure you on that. Among that there is Chakravartis. Among the Maharajas there is Chakravartis. These are some, the many more are there. Now very fascinating about the Chakravartis are, Maharajas at least are covered by FCRA, they don't file any statements, many of them. Chakravartis are one step above. They have not been registered anywhere at all. One RBI deputy governor told we never knew about them actually. But huge amount of funds have come. So I am not actually surprised that their funds are frozen. In a sense, of course the court case is going on, but they should have been registered somewhere. But they feel that they are too much global to be regulated by any domestic entities. Then we have type of activities. I don't have to list it. You can go to my website and see. And plenty of forms are there. Advocacy NGOs are there, mother NGOs are there, brother NGOs are there, grassroots are there, hundreds of types are there. These are all related to how the fund is flowing. How the fund is flowing. Some of the mothers will get larger funds and then distribute it among children in the local areas. And number of registered has gone up phenomenally, and unfortunately, as I told you, not more than 50% file regular return. 100,000 crore is the total amount which has come in the last 10 years. Over the last decade, 100,000 crore has come in actually. One typical thing is we are asking FII and FDI. FII and FDI comes for return on investment. Let's be very clear about it. And these are not supposed to have ROI. Supposed to have any ROI. So that is the major difference. Top recipient, top donor, these are all available. Now the most important point, Saibo, one of the very serious researcher in this area in Bangalore, they have done a lot of work. They invest actually their funds in the form of fixed deposit. Something 150 crore is they are earning every year. All these FCRA NGOs, and 600 crore on return on investment each year organizationally. And approximately our estimate is 60,000 crore, 6,000 crore in FD. These are all available in the MHRA website. There is a particular type of a form they fill up, and we have been analyzing 22,000 such forms, individual forms, filling it out to find out where from they get money, what is the use to which they are using that money. Out of that 16,000 we have been completed actually. Something more is there, and we will come out hopefully with a good paper. Intra-India fund flows is of the order of 1,200 crore every year. By intra-India, I mean some NGO in Vellore gets it and then sends it to Jharkhand. Some NGO in Delhi gets it and then distributes it to Tamil Nadu. This is within the country. Purchase of land is taking place on a very furious basis. And approximately 50 crore is in the greater Bangalore region itself in the last, every year land is getting purchased. How do we go about, we have explained it. Amounts are unusually large for NGOs to have such a increased influx of funds. And an organization located in a given state need not spend, we mentioned about it. Maybe I think they took the message in the meek shall inherit the earth very seriously. On a literal basis, that could be one possibility, because so already everybody knows next to Defence Railways Church is the largest landholder in the country, and so Father Secura, my own professor, told we should become number one sooner or later, and Mormons are the leading one in terms of acquisition of land acquisition as of now. Purchase of land, how did we calculate? Another thing we have provided based upon the information. These are all publicly available information in what is called the FC6 returns. So each one of those return one can, but one requires of course a significant amount of patience. And then, right. Religious denomination was another thing which is available from the same thing. Of the 22,000, they filed, they are expected to, there is a column. And 4855 them declared the religious denomination Others, if you don't declare, it doesn't mean you are not religiously oriented. You just don't declare, that's all. Development and various other names are given, but those who declared, 4,855, 4,193 have declared themselves to be Christian. Incidentally, religion, religious propaganda, religious literature, all are allowed. There is no bar on that at all under this. Total foreign funds received from such organizations who declared themselves to be Christian is roughly 1/3 every year. Roughly 1/3 every year, based upon the F-16, this thing. And we did what is called word clouding. That's one of the recent technology which is available in terms of sources of funds, and then trying to find out, how the different donors are clustered or. So using that technology, this is the sort of a thing for Kerala we found out. Huge number of, particular type of donors are focusing on Kerala. Same way we did for, Chhattisgarh, same way we did for other locations. So many people who are not NGOs in the traditional sense are understood, they are all getting money through the, or rather what they say is FCRA route. So this is something very, very different and interesting. So we have lot of, issues in this. Okay, this is the last one we will see. Okay. Non-reporting, of course, is a major problem, and a very large portion of funds come, everybody knows, to harvest souls or planting of the church and other things. There is a huge amount of social conflicts generated because of these funds, and some of us are aware that recently Russia took very serious steps, because they said these violent orange type of revolutions all around us are primarily due to NGOs. So that is the funding. The question is, do we require funds at all from abroad? How long we are going to be white man's burden? Why the suffering of Indian tribal should be the concern of Danish government or the Danish church? We have a large number of, and domestic giving has been our practice. Giving is always our ethos. Karna is the hero. Everybody knows. Karna is the major hero, which is recognized. And so many, institutions are run with domestic. And the argument that we get funds from abroad, but they don't question another thing is highly unacceptable.
There are no free lunches.
Because everybody who fund, there is always an angularity. Nobody gives. As a finance man, I can assure you, there is a source and use of funds. The source will always have a issue regarding, it could be benign neglect sometime, in the sense as long as you don't cross or, you have a broad thing. So how long we should be a white man's burden, I think we have to answer squarely, right? They are not NG, actually, as I told you, majority of them are not non-government. I have a feeling sooner or we should seriously think in terms of have a commission to investigate into this NGO business. I call it NGO business. It's a very large thing, and there are substantial reason. Very mild-mannered, who doesn't have much, who doesn't talk much, everybody knows, Manmohan Singh. He mentioned that this is a very major issue. They are working against the interest of India. Totally, he might have talked some 50 sentences. Out of that, I am telling only 2. That many of them are working. He, very surprised. He was my teacher, so I can take some liberties. So he mentioned that they are working against the interest of India. So there is a, it's a very serious thing coming out of a Prime Minister. In the context of Kudangulam, he was telling, he gave it in an interview to Science magazine in US, that they do not understand, and some of them are planted, and there was a, I think that is there. Then some of them are far reaching. For instance, some of these NGOs are so powerful in the context of this famous Supreme Court judgment given in the Dara Singh case. Unbelievable. Friday the judgment mentioned about it's not appropriate for organizations and others to hurt the religious feelings of others. But next Monday, before a revision petition even came, the judges assembled on their own and deleted those sentences. And this has come in papers because of pressure exerted by NGOs. It's a very extraordinary thing. First time and maybe hopefully last time, the Chief Justice and the other judge, they themselves came, occupied the seat, and then they told we are deleting these two. There is no rhyme or reason or provocation from outside. So there is a huge amount of politics in this. Let's not try to minimize or misunderstand this. So I think the time has come to completely scrap FCRE. If somebody is so desperate, so much interested in helping the the fourth beggar in that queue, that's very important. We must remember that they can always give it to Prime Minister's Relief Fund, Chief Minister's Relief Fund, or if it is required, an SPV can be created, which is exclusively for using the third and fifth beggar also. You give the funds, you put it inside this. So there is nothing for, but of course that will create a huge amount of unemployment domestically, I can assure you, because this level of 33 lakh mean, if you multiply even by 2, it's going to be but we have to, so let's, in the NGO sector also, let's look at Make in India, after all, everywhere we are talking about Make in India. So why not here, and there are enough fellows who will give money here. Not, I'll give you last one interesting example. There is a town called Balasur in Orissa. Most of you would have heard about it. 100 kilometers away from that, weightlifters have got medals in Commonwealth Games. So one team, it has not come out in all the media. One team went all the way there to find out how could these people become. So, and then they told they have got some Bajrangbali weightlifting federation or something. They interviewed them. They told, like local traders, small business people, they fund us. So this team asked these traders, why are you doing it? These fellows are all in the 18 to 25 age group. Better they are, involved in some this type of activity. Otherwise they will create locally mischief and trouble. Go behind girls or, come to our shop and ask things. So we provide them food as well as money for doing weightlifting. And after, something like 7-8 years, they have gone and got the medal in Commonwealth. What I am telling is there is a huge amount of activity and provision of funds by the very, very low local level and low level organization taking place in the country. Another classic example is Ekal Vidyalaya. 40,000 schools are being run in this country, not by government, not by international donor, but by local business people. So I think we must have a relook at this entire issue of funding in terms of global organization. Thank you for your patient hearing.